And welcome to the Youth Pulse podcast with me, Dico Andrew, where we discuss pressing issues of this generation with heartful conversation, inspiring stories, and diverse perspective on girl-child marriage, reproductive health, education, youth champions, and climate, among other compelling topics, meeting your needs. Join us today to be informed, empowered, and engaged. The Youth Pulse podcast is speaking from our hearts. A very good afternoon to all the listeners and viewers of the Youth Pulse podcast. My name is Dico Andrew. Welcome to another episode of this very beloved podcast of ours, whereby we are speaking from our hearts. And as for each topic, we tackle different issues. And today happened to be a very critical issue that we are going to be handling. Things or a crisis that is undergoing the youth with the youth and women in our beloved country, and not to forget one of them is of course child marriage, from early pregnancy to emotional stress and limited education. Not to forget as well, child marriage impacts the health and the future of the youth. Let's hear direct from some of the youthful people that we have in our beloved country. They are my two good amazing friends, and one is my namesake, by the way. So okay, I'm Makarabutuali. Let's just go to the introduction as we dive in together on this very topic of impact of child marriage on youth health. A very good afternoon, good morning, good night. Dico?
Thank you.
Yeah, namesake, yeah.
Long time.
Indeed, long time.
Good.
And Tamam, you're welcome.
Thank you. My name is Dico, as introduced. Dico J. Isaac.
Yeah.
I am a student and I'm a very passionate youth advocate and also the chairperson of Plan International Youth Advisory Panel.
Okay, you're
Thank
welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm by name Michael Okeno Okot.
Okay.
I am a doctor by training, currently practicing at Juba Teaching Hospital. And I am passionate about youth advocacy.
Okay.
That's why I'm here.
All right, you guys are welcome to the Youth Pulse podcast. And of course, going into what we're going to be handling today, of course, in regard to impact of child marriage on health-related issues. Have you seen any experience of child marriage in our community, and how the community or even the common it being in our midst as youth?
All right. Child marriage cases are still very high and the prevalence is still existing. And statistics has it that 52% prevalence still happening and making South Sudan the fourth most ranking country in terms of child marriages.
Okay.
And I think from experience as a young girl in South Sudan, it's not something new. Child marriage is not a new thing to us. Most of us know. If it's not directly in our families, in our communities, at least these are things that we see. Even in these digital spaces, we see a very young child getting married at a very young age. Sometimes it's forced marriage, and sometimes the girl is influenced to go for that kind of marriage. So it's a common thing. It's something that is actually happening. And I'm sure right now as we are talking, it might be happening somewhere,
Yeah.
somehow.
That's true.
Yes.
And with the stories around our communities, I feel like Mabes is story wahid. Zamasal ambe haki story wahid. Diko will tell one story, and even doctor will tell one story. But this thing have been happening already. You have given us the statistic. But from the medical aspect, how do you think getting married at a young age affect the physical health of young girls and even boys in our communities, and even affecting the emotional well-being and as well the mental health as well?
Thank you so much for the question. From a medical point of view, when a child is married at a young age, their body is not physically ready. Physiologically, they are not ready to deliver. So in the maternity ward or in the labor ward, you see that young girls, teenage girls are struggling to deliver. Some of them, they may even pass on during delivery. Some of them, they end up with a lot of bleedings, which is the leading cause of maternal death in that age group, the teenagers. If the complication is not experienced immediately, you will also see it maybe later. They may end up developing fistula. The child that are born from such mothers, they also end up to be malnourished children. In most cases, you see those cases.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just it's just really sad
Yeah.
because like in Munich in specific, I have seen one family push the daughter to get married. The daughter was very smart, a very smart girl, But Finehaya, Rajil Jamugaris, Baby 8, and we see it in most of the content creators around. They try to make awareness through the content, but it's still with them portraying that. I feel that there is a root cause for anything. For you, Diko, what do you think is the main reason for families to push children to marriage or even to push their child to get married, it being whatever gender it might be?
All right, thank you so much once again. I think in the context of South Sudan, one of the biggest challenge is actually poverty, because when you look at the dividend, when you look at the standard of living in South Sudan, it's not everybody that is able to afford a decent life. So you find most South Sudanese live below the poverty line. And I think from the perspective of when you're a father and you have a lot of daughters, they look at that as wealth. And so that also contributes to that. So you find a father will invest so much in their daughter, knowing that one day, one time, she's going to return back all that whatever it is. And then another factor is also our cultural setting, because we are born to these cultures that a young girl is supposed to get married when she's still very young. That's why you find when you're clocking your mid-20s, your late 20s, even your early 30s, there's this societal pressure that is put on you. Maluma Josita. Sometimes when you go to certain gatherings, you don't even talk, because when you start talking, Bikelim, and then, those things happen a lot. But otherwise, poverty is one of the leading causes. And then our cultural norms also support early child and forced marriages. Because of poverty, some parents are not able to put their girls to go to school. So what happens is the girls stay at home, and as a result, they get married because there's nothing they're doing. And there are some girls that just stay at home. When you ask them what are they planning to do, they'll tell you, when I get a man, or when my parents bring a man, I'll get married. And then for you, somebody that is ambitious, you're thinking about, becoming the next president, and you're wondering,
independent woman.
Exactly. So you're wondering, why are they having that thought? But also it's because of the exposure. It's because they do not have the opportunities that you as a young person has.
That's true. You have addition to
that? In addition to that, it could be also gender equality. Culturally, when you look at most of our communities, the value of a boy and a girl, they are not weighed the same. They think that a boy could be a breadwinner, and then when a girl child reach at the age of 15, 16, they already see this one. They can just marry her off, and then they will get value. Another one maybe is also when they marry off that girl, this one is actually reducing on the number of children that they are going to feed, and then the other motivation could be the wealth that will come with that girl. Another factor could be also people want to build social connections. The girl is already a teenager and there is someone potential, and then if you don't marry this girl off, someone who is having a daughter somewhere might take up the opportunity, and then you miss out. So they end up posting their daughters to marry by these guys who are well connected. This basically social and economic connections.
Muki Nagul, maybe stories and the example that you have mentioned, it might be in the rural areas, but even in the urban city, Diko and Doctor, you will be finding girls feeling like, why do I need to go to school? Why do I need to be independent yet someone is going to take care of me? I want to better off my life. That's why I'm going to go for marriage. For the men or for the boys, can go fi nusa ta sobanto. It need talata jozu wale hamil their peers in a younger age now bishilo shuno the masal italo bilong itaba mushinu fi nusnasal jozu like kalamatic ketir yet
peer pressure.
Their age is a little bit young. They're not ready mentally, even physically, to take care of a family. In that regard, how do we synthesize that? Well, how can we change that narrative between the youth themselves before going to the community?
I think this one is a very hard thing to do, but it requires advocacy. You need to disseminate information about the consequences of early marriage. Even for boys at the age of 15, they are not responsible enough to take care of
even 20.
Okay, now you're talking.
30, my friend.
Yes, they are still boys.
So you need to push them so that they reach at that age where they are acquired academic skills, social skills that can make them be independent and take care of their families, because it's not just about reproduction. You need to also build a good family that you can be proud of one day. So you need to disseminate information. You need also to send girls to school. The girls, if you send them to school, that one will take their time, and then I remember back in the days they used to send girls in boarding school. I don't see it frequently these days, but it used to be one thing that kept girls out of reach from these guys who can easily come and snatch them out. So these are the points I can't add.
I think just to build up on what he said, Nelson Mandela said education is the only weapon we can use to change the world. So when you look at the thinking of somebody that has been to a classroom, somebody that has been to school, it's a different thinking from somebody that has not been to school. So there's a way education shapes our thinking. Now for us to change some behaviors, we need to first change our mindset. Now all these things that are going on in the community, it's sometimes because of the lack of information. Because you're born into this society and this is how things have been happening. So you also find yourself doing the same thing. You know that this is the narrative. Today you're born, you reach a certain age, you get married. There's no education, it happens. So I think education should always come first, and then if not education, we should continue, talking and reaching out to these young people. I'm sure if the people that are able to tune and listen to this podcast, they can get information. The radio talk shows that are hosted, if they're able to listen, they can get a lot of information, knowing that it's not only marriage, that life ends there, because there are people that look at marriage as the climax of everything. But otherwise, there's life beyond that. Yes. And we're also not discouraging people from getting married before we get roasted.
Actually, in the comment section, we don't want to be independent like you people. Anyway, in another hand, touching a little bit on the medical aspect, early pregnancy often linked to child marriage. What do you think will be the health risk does it bring to young mothers of nowadays?
Looking at the medical aspect of a child that is married early, is that one is that there is risk of maternal morbidity and mortality rate. It's very high during pregnancy and during deliveries. Both to the mother and to the child that they're going to give birth to. Another thing is also risk of STIs. When the child is, this girl child is 15 years old, and then this man is well up and is the one catering for everything.
Yes.
Like, there are high chances of STIs transmission going on, and the girl will not have a sexual right. She cannot say no whenever the man want to do whatever he want to do on her body, and this one is a very big challenge. It will end up traumatizing the child or the girl mentally and emotionally. And you see that whenever they're moving, their self-esteem is already lowered down, very low spirit, which is very bad. For you, if you are defeated mentally, it would be the worst thing that can happen to you. So, and in addition to delivery, their body is not prepared for childbirth. Medically recommended is that the recommended age is 21 years old, and most of them they deliver at the age of 16, 15, 17, which is very bad. But at least the baseline is 21. Sorry.
You have touched about they girls or that age group, they don't know their rights. Now coming to you, Diko, do you think young people are aware of their rights, and when it comes to marriage, if not, why could that be?
Well, I don't know how to put this because I swear I do not know about every young person in South Sudan. But I think from what's going on right now, it's not every young person that knows their rights. So there are those young people that are informed about their rights, but I believe that most people do not know about their rights. And if you look at the reasons why that is happening, for me it's also lack of information. Because there are people that do not even know the Constitution. There are people that do not know what the Constitution talks about marriage. There are people that do not know that it's their right to go to school, it's their right to eat, it's their right to access to health, to safety, to security, and all these components. And that's why sometimes we act that way. That's why sometimes you find some young people act the way they do. Because if they knew their rights, there are things that they would not be doing. They would be using those components, those documents to protect themselves and as a support system also to themselves. And then I wanted to add something when he was talking about the consequences. And I think if you look at the streets of Juba, there are so many young children, and it's so devastating because these are young people that have bright future. These are young people that should be doctors, engineers, one time that we can invest in them for the betterment of our future. But now these are young people that, yes, I know of parents, teenage that were married off at a young age, and today they're doing amazingly well raising their children, so we appreciate them for that. But again, remember, this is a child that was married at a young age who was not ready to be a parent. So with the mindset of a child, you're just a child who is raising another child. So the challenges are very many, and as a result you find most of these kids get spoiled. You find most of them on the streets, their mothers are young. Sometimes the mother comes to a reasoning when she's already having maybe 2-3 kids, and that also increases the rates of these street kids on the road, which is still a barrier, and it comes back to our country.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. In another hand, also, we touched it early on, but I want us to talk a little bit deeper. How does leaving school early for marriage impact future opportunities and personal growth?
Leaving in school earlier for any reason, whether they're
totally negative.
Okay. Leaving in school earlier will end them up not having the professional skills that they could have developed to make them more valuable in the job markets. So this one is going to impact them economically. They will not get well-paying jobs, and this one will end up perpetuating the circle of poverty. You may not be able to get out of that circle.
Maybe to add on that, I think we don't have the right way of putting it, okay? But then just imagine life without education, how primitive or how it was going to be. It's going to be very challenging. I believe that we're able to sit here today and speak. It's because of education. And I believe that we have not reached to the level that we want to be at. But yes, we're getting there one step at a time. Now imagine somebody that didn't have all this access to education would not have an opportunity to even come to iRadio and speak. So education has a lot of benefits. I've not seen any negative impact of education. Yes, there are a lot of people that are talking, investing in education is actually wasting of time. How about you invest in business? It's not a bad thing. Because even if you start your business without the right skills, without the right knowledge, your business is going to fail. There are people that are trying one business, failing, starting another one because they are not strategic enough. And they should go back to school and try to learn about business, then they can go and start business. But there are people that are naturally gifted. They are running their businesses without any education. We're not saying education is the only way for you to be successful, but education, limiting yourself from education limits you from a lot of opportunities, the future opportunities that we talk about. When you see countries that are well developed, it's because they prioritize education. They put education as the first thing. But now in the context where education is neglected, education is put as an option, you find the country doesn't develop, the country doesn't run the way it's supposed to be. And I think in the context of South Sudan, not every young person has an opportunity to go to school. Like if you look at currently, the school fee structures are spiking, they are very high, and it's worrying that so many young people are not going to be able to go to school because your parents will definitely tell you, my salary is 63,000, my salary is 50,000, and your school wants, and your school wants 1 million. Your school wants 1 million. Now where do I get that money from? So the reasons become so understandable that even you as a child, you say, Felan, parents saima baki der gurush de keran again if you go bed. Now when you're staying at home, what happens? Of course you start thinking of marriage. That your boyfriend, that your nyongoro boyfriend, sorry, not nyongoro.
She's going to be chucked.
That your boyfriend is going to tell you they love you, I'm gonna marry you, and something of that kind. And the next thing is you're getting married and things get difficult. Now you also get married, the standard of living there is very low. Now you did not get access to education. Imagine also your children are going to go through the same journey of not getting access to education. So it's a challenge. Like we need to step up. Like it's a collective role. It's a collective responsibility.
In another hand, before the last, what support systems do you guys think or resources should exist to protect youth from child marriage?
Support system, or what should exist?
Yeah.
The first thing is this information, what we are doing right now. Spreading the message, make sure that each and every girl child get the message. If they get the message, at least maybe they
don't
can
forget
try
the boy child.
Okay, the boy child.
That's himself.
If they get the message, at least maybe they can be well positioned to negotiate with their parents. At least maybe some parents that they are not that wild, they can reason with them sometime. Another one could be for those girls who are already married, maybe you try to support them through vocational training centers, other things like that, where they can at least get some skills and be valuable in the job market. Another thing is maybe fundings, because we cannot do all this one alone. We can talk the talk all the time, but then you need fundings, and then to implement it, you need the funds from the partners that are interested in such sectors.
All right. I'm just going to add up on what Ukeno said, Dr. Ukeno. Yes. So I'm just going to talk about the government. I think it's time we hold ourselves accountable, starting with myself. Am I going to school? Yes, I'm going to school. What about the other person? Are they going to school? No. Why? We need to find out the reason. So we need to hold the government accountable in a sense that we should ask questions. Why are these young people not going to school? Could it be because of the school structures? What is the government doing about these school structures? What is the government doing about education? The government declared free education, primary school education.
Sure.
But now the question is this school really free?
That's
Because
true.
when you go to those schools, they are still paying
Was
something.
it decreed?
It was
Yeah, it
declared.
was.
I'm not sure about that.
It was declared.
actually.
It was declared. Yes,
Okay.
it was declared by the president.
Mhm.
Yes. So you find these schools that have actually been made free, most of them teachers are not teaching.
Yeah.
Why? Because
No salary.
there's no salary. Because the teachers will tell you they used to get money from the students as school fees and the rest of the maintenance things. But now that there's no salary, what do? They choose to go to private schools and teach there. Because now people are choosing survival. People are choosing to raise their families instead of sacrificing for the nation. That's one. So the government should come up with initiatives that support education. And then the partners, it's time to support more education programs instead of, supporting other things. So we need to support and prioritize education because we need to transform communities. We need to transform ourselves. And young people, it's our time to embrace education.
True.
I know sometimes our parents are struggling to put us in school, but sometimes we are not appreciative. We are not grateful. There are so many young people out there who need just a chance to go to school, but they don't. Who just wants to sit under the tree to learn something, but they don't. So let's not take education for granted. Let's make use of it. Let's use it as a transformation. I appreciate those high school students who graduate, who finish high school, and the next thing is they become teachers.
Yeah.
When I finished high school, that was the first thing I did. I gave back to my community by going to teach. I was teaching a primary school. And I think we should keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
For me, it's not the salary anymore. It's about the sacrifice. One teacher gave his life
The
for me,
impact you're
so I
going
can
to
also
do.
do the same thing, and I believe that we can do the same thing. Otherwise, transformation starts from all of us. And then we can also create safe spaces, online or offline.
Yeah.
We need to start creating groups where young people can come and talk. Maybe I have a challenge. Maybe my parents want to force me for early child marriages. I can come maybe in that group and then I share my experience, and then people are able to help me, maybe psychologically, maybe mentally, because they say a problem half shared is half solved. But these days a problem half shared is,
Half
shared.
being added.
it's actually half spread, something
yeah,
of that kind. Yeah.
In addition to that, I think we can also engage the government,
Yes.
especially the parliamentarians, so that they push. The least they can do is maybe establish the minimal age of marriage. This one is very important.
Yeah.
If they said it at
They should
18,
pass the bill.
they pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe also you should also engage with the religious leaders, community leaders, traditional leaders, those one, because whatever you are doing and you don't involve the people, it will most likely fail. But you need to involve them so that
I just remembered something.
Yeah.
I think we should also not limit ourselves to Juba, the context of the city.
Yes,
Let's go back to
perfect.
the grassroots. Are there schools in the communities that you come from, that you come from and I come from? Do we have classrooms?
Yes.
Some communities are distracted. There is maybe ongoing conflicts and insecurities.
Yes.
Now, there are young people that are staying in those communities. Do they have classrooms? If they don't have classrooms, do they have trees that they can learn from? If no, what are we doing? Are we holding our government, our members of parliament from that particular community accountable or not? So I think it's time to start having those conversations to create change, because if we keep silent, it means we're also supporting the fact that there are no schools in
silence
those
mean you're okay
particular
with it,
yes
whatever is happening.
yeah.
For the last question that we are going to be having today, like, what message will you love to give to the youth, families, and communities about the dangers of child marriage?
My message, I think it's going to be an abstract from the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
I'll read it
Okay.
to be faster. Ending child marriage is a global development priority as outlined in Target 5.3 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which call on the government to stop all harmful practices like child, early and post-marriage, and female genital mutilations. Reducing the rate of child marriage will also support the achievements of many other sustainable development goals, including number 1, which is no poverty, number 2, which is zero anger, number 4, which is quality education, 8, which is economic growth, 10, which is reduce inequalities, and 16, which is peace, injustice, and strong institution. That means if you advocate for early child marriage, you would have solved a lot of SDGs. Thank you so much.
All right. I think he has mentioned almost everything. But I just want to conclude and say that a child's place is not the delivery room. It's not in her husband's house. She's a child. He's a child. He should be in the classroom. He should be at the playground. So let's not limit children. Let's give children an opportunity to go to school. Marriage can wait. You can get married later, but your childhood can never wait for you. and your classroom will always be there, yes, but you have to go to school early. So I would say it's time for us to invest in educating the girls and the boys of South Sudan, because the future is bright when all of us are educated and when all of us are empowered. So the goal is to end early child and forced marriages and see all of us striving. Thank you.
The beauty of the Youth Pulse podcast, we start and when the finish comes to an end, like, with that being, it marks the end of our today Youth Pulse podcast, and it's always enjoyable having such amazing, interesting guests coming through. And I would love to say thank you so much, Diko and Doctor, for passing by the Youth Pulse podcast today, sharing your thoughts and as well experiences in this topic today. And remember, child marriage affect not just health but also emotion and the future of our beloved country youth that will be the 72% of the whole nation, by the way. So stay informed, speak up and support the right of every young person outside there. Join us next time for more of Youth Voices that matters, because we are speaking from our hearts. My name is Diko Andrew. Have a blessed day.